everyone still awake?
Oh, yeah.
Look, I want to thank this great county, this great Republican Executive Committee, each and every one of you that is here tonight. I want to thank the chairman and the vice chairman and the entire staff of the REC, to all of my fellow comrades, elected officials, and also candidates who are running for elected office. God bless you all, and thank you for having me tonight. And I want to keep this pretty short, because I think that what I have to say can be said in a pretty concise statement. You know, tonight there was a few little chuckleheads out there that were trying to form up a little welcoming party for me. And a lot of people have always asked, you know, well, what do you mean about chucklehead? Well, a chucklehead is a person that is so inept or incompetent that all you can do is look at them and laugh. But for those individuals that were out there on the street corner who showed up after I had gotten here, they don't know anything about the military guy. He was always early. That's how we feel about him. But the interesting thing is this. It is not about me that they were really protesting. It is about each and every one of you. It is about what is happening here in Broward County. The fact that Republicans in Broward County are starting to stand up. Republicans in Broward County are starting to write letters to the editor of the Sun-Sentinel. Republicans in Broward County are starting to go on the left-wing blogs here in Broward County, and they're starting to make comments. It's about the inspiration that you all have taken up the mantle and started to fight back against this liberal progressivism that can take our country down the road to perdition. That's why they were out there, and God bless you for doing it. Someone told me that there was a person out there that had a sign that said, "Alan West does not speak for me." And I absolutely have to agree. I do not speak for this ideal of liberal progressivism that will see our country go down a road of economic destruction. I do not believe in a socialistic, egalitarian, welfare nanny state, which is what they believe in. I believe in a constitutional republic that believes in the rule of law and believes in individual rights and freedoms. That's not what they believe in, so I'm not going to be their voice. I'm not going to speak on their behalf. I am not going to understand why a president such as President Obama would want to increase the size of government by another 53% over the next 10 years. He wants to increase our $16 trillion debt to $26 trillion. He wants us to have continuing trillion-dollar-plus deficits. This is a moral discussion that we're having in this country, because we're talking about what are we going to leave for our children and grandchildren. And I will not stand with those individuals. Now, I will tell you this, unlike them, I don't hate them. I feel sorry for them. I feel sorry for them because for whatever reason, they don't know the essence of the greatness of the United States of America. They don't understand that when Thomas Jefferson sat down and wrote those impeccable words about the inalienable rights that come to each and every one of us here, not granted by man, not granted by government, but from your creator of life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, which truly means the property that you are able to own. As Benjamin Franklin once said, it is the pursuit of happiness. Now it's up to you to go out and chase it. I don't believe that government can guarantee happiness, unlike what they believe. And when I sit back and look at some of the things that they want to do, they don't understand that when you talk about ingenuity, when you talk about investment, when you talk about innovation, that comes from you all. It does not come from Washington, D.C. And each and every day when I wake up in the morning, when I'm up there in session, and I go for the run along the D.C. Mall and I see those construction cranes going up in Washington, D.C., I know that that means just a little bit more of the capital of the American people that should be in your pockets so that we can grow more small businesses, so we can have more production and manufacturing, not in Washington, D.C., but down here with each and every one of you, where you are the economic engine that drives this country. But unfortunately, if we're not careful, the largest tax increase that this country has ever seen will occur next January. That's why it's important that we maintain the majority in the House, that we win the United States Senate, and we get someone that believes in the exceptionalism of America in the White House. We should never be afraid of claiming success. We should never run away from the achievements that we are able to have. Because this is very simple. It comes down to what they believe in is an equality of achievement where the government comes down and they set the rules. They pick the winners and the losers in the free marketplace or among each and every one of us. But this guy that stands before you today, born 51 years ago in the inner city of Atlanta, Georgia, I now represent beaches. I now represent areas that my parents could not have gone to in 1961. That is what America is about, is the opportunities that are afforded to each and every one. So no, I don't speak for them because they don't believe in that equality of opportunity. See, I don't speak for them because I believe in individual sovereignty. I believe that there's a very dangerous decision that was presented before the Supreme Court, and Attorney General Bondi talked about it. If the federal government can establish a commerce or a trade relationship with the individual American citizen in order to regulate that trade relationship, today is health care insurance, but what is it tomorrow? Is it what type of car you must buy? Is it what type of clothes you must wear? Is it what type of food that you must eat? Instead, they believe in collective subjugation. And all you have to do is listen to them and how they try to separate us. Rich against the middle class, black against white, man against woman, gay against straight. Because they don't see you as individuals. They see you as groups to divide and to conquer and to pit against each other. So that in the end, they can create the fear that enables them to be in control of this country. Right. We must restore that sense of individual sovereignty instead of collective subjugation in this country. We must go back and understand that America is about creating individuals that are victors, not individuals that are victims. When you sit and think about in the past 3 years and 5 months, that we've gone from 32 million Americans on food stamps to 46 million. When we've gone close to 7 million Americans now on poverty. When you go around and you look at places such as Racetrack, Hess, and some of these convenience stores, and now all of a sudden they're accepting the EBT card, part of the SNAP program. A lot of folks don't remember why we created the food stamp program back in 1964, so that underprivileged, unfortunate Americans to get healthy foods, but it was also to spur on the growth of our own domestic agricultural industry. We wanted them to buy American. But what have we seen happen here recently in the last 10 years? A food stamp program that has gone from about $20.6 billion to over $75 billion in allocation of funds, a 267% increase. That's not how you empower the American people. That's how you enslave the American people. That's how you drive toward economic dependence instead of economic freedom. That's why you see our small businesses afraid to grow and extend their growth and hire more Americans. Because what we are doing in America under this administration, under the vision of liberal progressivism, under the guise and the vision and the desires of those people who stood out there on the corners, is to make more and more Americans dependent upon government for only one reason: for them to control. Because we are at a tipping point, ladies and gentlemen. When you realize that 47% of wage-earning households in the United States of America are not paying federal income taxes, when the top 1% is paying about 40%, the top 5% is paying about 58%, the top 25% of wage-earning households in America pay 86% of federal income taxes. Now, I got to ask President Obama one simple question: is that fair? when you hear about this Buffett rule that was supposed to help to reduce our debt and deficit, or when the president wants to grow our debt by 10 trillion over the next 10 years, you're only talking about a 0.4% impact upon our debt and deficit. And so he stood there. My wife was there when he gave his speech at Florida Atlantic University. And he said, it's all about taking away from these people right here so that I can give you $150,000. This is absolutely abysmal, and it is appalling. It is not in keeping with the promise and the foundational principles that our founding fathers established when they created these great United States of America. And if we're not careful, in the twinkling of an eye, we can lose this great nation. But the reason why they were out there protesting is that they know now, in the most democratic county in the state of Florida, that they're losing control. Yeah. Because you have the co-chairman of the Republican National Committee out of Broward County. You have a Republican member of Congress out of Broward County. And you're going to continue to have a Republican member of Congress out of Broward County. And you're going to have another Republican member of Congress, because you are going to find a way to send Debbie Wasserman Schultz home. Our Republican state representatives, we're going to grow and expand the Republican county commissioners, and we're going to keep Sheriff Al Lamberti as the sheriff of Broward County. That's why they're out there protesting. Because this old paratrooper has somehow taught you a very simple lesson. When you go back and you think about what happened the night before the invasion of 6 June 1944, D-Day, when paratroopers from the 101st and the 82nd Airborne jumped in behind enemy lines and created confusion for the Germans. And if you go and you study what happened, they were scattered all over that French countryside. Most of them missed their drop zones, but they knew one simple thing: find the enemy and fight them wherever they are. Hell yeah. You have dropped in behind the enemy lines in Broward County, and you are engaging them in every single area where they thought they had strength. They don't, and they are confused. They are afraid of it. The reason why those people were on the street corners is that they fear you. Now, this is where you must be. You must sense that fear. You must be like sharks that smell blood in the water. And you must attack. Because the military will teach you one other thing. Ladies and gentlemen, you don't win on defense. You win on offense. Right. Now, I found it kind of interesting that when I was looking at the president speak at Ohio State University today, he had all those young kids with these banners, and on the front of the banner said, "Forward." You all would be very surprised to find out where that term "forward" came from.
All over Fox News.
But this is it. Even if they go forward, we go even further in the advance. We must meet them on this battlefield. It's an ideological battlefield that talks about believing in limited government, that talks about believing in individual sovereignty, that talks about believing in our free market and free enterprise system, that talks about believing in the traditional cultural values that make us who we are. It is what we are as far as our strong national defense. When you are armed with the fundamental principles that the Constitution gives you, they will not go forward. They will go backward. Ladies and gentlemen, let me say this. When I showed back up from Afghanistan in November 2007, Chip Lamarck was the chairman of the Broward Republican Executive Committee. And it was the first organization that I stood before and spoke to. And you welcomed me back. A lot of people did not believe it would be possible to be able to win this congressional district back. Now, we came up short in 2008. A little over $500,000, but we had 45.3% of the vote.
Yep.
And you came to me and you said one simple thing: go back and run again.
Woo!
And what you have to understand is this: I hate losing. And that's why Ron Clyde should have known right then I was coming for him with both barrels. And I don't mean that literally. I know the liberal media, they'll say Alan West had a shotgun and he was chasing Ron Clyde around Broward County. Alan West did not have a shotgun. Alan West had a belief in this country.
Yep.
Alan West had a belief in his country. Alan West had the backing of this great county, as well as Palm Beach County. And I will take that love and admiration, that support that you have given to me, and we will take it north. And we will piss off those liberals up there too. Because what we stand for is one simple word. We stand for America. And remember what America is. Remember right now that there are young men and women standing as watchmen on the walls so that you could be here tonight. Young men and women that you may never meet, but they have such a love for you that you can enjoy the great freedoms and liberties and democracy that began when those first men fired the shot that would be heard around the world at Lexington and Concord. You know, a lot of people don't realize it. 200 years ago was the start of the War of 1812. It was truly a continuing fight for our independence. And in that came our great Star-Spangled Banner from the War of 1812. Remember what happened in the War of 1812. Remember the courage of someone such as Dolly Madison, who went back inside and made sure that George Washington's portrait was saved as the British burned the White House. Remember the courage of Andrew Jackson and those people who stood in New Orleans. We must reconnect to our history. We must reconnect to our values. And furthermore, we must pass it on to our children and grandchildren. We must talk to them and get them to understand things that they are hearing in these schools and in these universities is not what America is about. So as I close tonight, I want to remind you of the great farewell speech of Confederate General Thomas J. Stonewall Jackson, when he bid farewell to his brigade as he was elevated by Robert E. Lee. And he said to his brigade that they would always be first in his heart. Broward County will always be first in my heart. And I will never forget you. God bless you all.